Hi all, it's KPTK92 here. Joining me, my co-op partner, Snillis Lukens.
Hello, guys. It's wonderful to speak with you all yet again because it's been a little while, hasn't it, Kerry?
Yeah, we posted the Q&A announcement video. I think it's it was a month ago now.
Yeah.
But we've left it open for a long time, hoping that we'll get a lot of questions. But I think they kind of peaked after maybe a day of it uploading. But we thought we'd still hang about, and also, I've not had time and can't be bothered as well, and all that. So.
No. It's just time, guys. It's not. We would love. We're very happy to do this for you. It's nothing. Ignore what Kerry just said. It isn't about not being bothered. Yeah, and I also went against Kerry's wishes and tried to sort of plug our Q&A video a bit on our Brazil video at the end of the season, but that didn't seem to produce any more questions, so that was to know about. But anyway, I think we were going to start, Kerry, with kind of like a review of the co-op season, just as a start off, and then I think we'll dive into some questions.
Okay, we can have just a quick recap, because if I'm honest, I'm starting to forget it a little bit.
Yeah, I was considering spending a bit of time just doing a bit of research and just knowing like when the key results happened, but I haven't done that because I've only just got home from work and had food. So
I know there was. I kind of know the general picture. It kind of started off scrappy. We kind of peaked middle of the season, and then it just got really messy at the end.
Yeah, I think that's a very good narrative. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you say it's scrappy at the start because I think Australia it should have been a sign of things to come. The way that Australia ended, because I remember this one. I don't need to look at the video to remember this one because I think you stole the last point off me literally at the line.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it was indeed a sign of things to come.
Well, no, it wasn't, because you never pipped me to any races after that. You just completely like trampled all over me. It was never really that close, was it?
Well, to be fair, you had your chances. Let's not pretend that it was just a complete walkover. I mean, because when things got messy for me, and you had perfect opportunities to grab and seize for your own, but
there was one race actually this season where I thought to myself, right, that's it. He's gone. He won't possibly overtake me unless I monumentally throw it away. And that was then when I oversteered into the pit wall entrance at Suzuka. So yeah, that was good. That was fun.
Monza was a particular favourite of mine. I know you looked like you were kind of matching me for pace. Well, I was struggling for pace actually, and you seemed to be a bit quicker. And then you were leading the 1-2, and you spun at the second chicane and binned it basically, and that kind of summed up your season, I think. In a way.
Yeah.
A lot of crashes, definitely.
Far too many crashes, definitely. But that's the thing, and I gotta say, I think this follows through in a lot of what I do in real life, not just on the Xbox. But I do have the propensity to make that clumsy mistake very often. I mean, like, none of you guys will know this, but I play a lot of football. I play in goal for 3 football teams a week, and there is always a calamity. It's very rare that I go through a whole 90 minutes without, I don't know, dropping the ball or letting it go through my legs or something. It's just something that I do, and I can't escape that in any facet of my life, which is highly frustrating. But as you can tell, it's a great source of entertainment for my friends. So yeah, that's good. So that carried on through into our season. But yeah, so I was going to say Australia should have been a sign of things to come in terms of the competition between us two, but it never really worked out. But another way in which it wasn't a sign of things to come is the results we were getting. Because yeah, we finished 10th and 11th in that race, and that wasn't because we were making mistakes. I don't think. I just think it was because certainly that was the first time that I had played the game in quite a while, and Kerry only played it a couple of weeks before that. Started playing it again a couple of weeks before that. So I think it took us a little while to build up our speed, but when we got to Bahrain, that was when our form started to. Well, it looked like it was going to start to turn good, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bahrain was a strong one. I know there was a couple of comments in the build up to that race. People suggesting that we'd have a good one at Bahrain. Lotus was quite well suited there, definitely. And that was kind of the race where we thought, well, where I thought certainly that we could have a genuine shot at challenging for the title, because the first 3 races weren't spectacular.
Yeah. Very much so, and I think the other thing with that as well that I took a good positive from was, I believe you only overtook me because you did an extra lap on the first stint, and you got me in the pit stop phase rather than overtaking me per se. And all right, I mean I should say I think you did pull away by quite a few tenths a lap after that, so you would have overtaken me anyway. But I think what I'm trying to say is that pace-wise, I was still relatively close to you, and I think Bahrain was the first race that, for me, it was relatively error-free. I think.
Yeah, and just to add on what you said about the staying out a little bit longer, it kind of seemed to be the best way to attack it from the back of a grid, to kind of stay out longer, especially because the tyres weren't scaled on F1 2012. On 25% races, on any race, were they really, apart from 100%?
Yeah.
So the tyres could kind of, you could do a lot of laps on them and still go quite fast, and that would give you a chance to jump some cars. So that was a common tactic we used throughout the season to try and get some cheap points. It was especially helped towards the end of the season when we started getting penalties. We started getting hit by penalties a lot. We were involved in far too many collisions for my liking, and yeah, it was a lifesaver in many of those races. India, I can remember straight away. Brazil, no, not Brazil. Austin as well. There was just about 4 or 5 races in a row where I was struck by just rotten luck in the first lap, but was kind of rescued by pit strategy. But I don't think we'll be getting any helping hand from pit strategy in future series.
But we'll get to that a little later on. So following on from Bahrain, we thought, right, we're going to hit the European season now. We love a lot of the European tracks, and now that we've just got our first really strong result, it was 3rd and 4th, I think it was in Bahrain, wasn't it? Yep. That we achieved. So we were really looking forward to the European season, and the first race of that was Spain, which, if I remember correctly, was just an absolute write-off, wasn't it? Basically.
Yep. Yeah. The rain, wasn't it? We kind of had a setup that we used throughout the whole season, but it wasn't particularly rain friendly. So we kind of got a bit of a wake-up call at Catalonia. It was full wet all the way through the entire race, no let-up. It was just rain, torrential, and it was a struggle. And we had the potential to. I certainly did. I know you struggled a lot.
You did. I was a long way off the pace, but yeah, certainly after. I mean, it took you a few laps, but you were out of nowhere. You were suddenly on. I think it was Alonso was leading. I think. Yep. But whoever it was, we saw their fastest laps come up, and then suddenly you popped up and went a second quicker, and we're like, oh, all right then. But unfortunately, the damage had been done. We had lost too much time trying to battle through. Like the Toro Rossos in like 16th and 15th or something stupid like that. So as far as big points were concerned, we were very much out of the game. And also the other thing with that race, I remember, was my capture card broke, didn't it? At halfway through the race, because it was at the worst point of the track as well. Because I was just going up to the hairpin towards the end of the lap. And it was just as I turned in that the capture card broke, and because obviously it goes through my laptop, and then it starts at the Xbox, goes to the laptop, and then into the TV. Because the capture card disconnected, there was a brief second where my screen just went black, and I couldn't see anything, and I was in the middle of a corner, and I couldn't see what was going on, and I think I was trying to overtake someone at the time as well, or at least I was quite close to someone. So that was a slightly hairy moment.
So what you're trying to tell me is, if the capture card had been working and hadn't given you bother, you would have won that race.
See, now this is another one of these running jokes that we have. Now, a lot of them I get and is great, and I laugh along with, and it's all fine. But this one I completely disagree with. Completely disagree with. They seem to think that I'd have won some championship had it not been for all of these things that I claimed happened to me. Well, did happen to me.
Well, you said it yourself. There's a bottle in everything you do. So
yeah, basically
the potential is there, but the execution is poor and lacking.
But yeah, so after the positivity of Bahrain, we all unravelled a little bit in Spain, and then Monaco as well. I can't remember what happened in Monaco, but I know that we didn't score many points. If any.
Well, I managed to nick a couple. I remember on the last lap. I remember in your voice when I told you that I'd passed Vettel for some points. I think it was Vettel for some points, and you just it was kind of a tone of disbelief, I think, because it was a rough race. Nowhere to really pass. As it always is at Monaco.
Yeah, of course. In fact, I have something coming back to me about that race now. About that I was actually in pretty decent shape. I think I might have started on primes, and I think I was in pretty decent shape. But then nearing my pit stop, I broke a wing, and so there's bottle number one. But unfortunately, in this race, it snowballed, and there were a couple more bottles rather than just the one that there normally is. So that wasn't good. And then, so where do we go after Monaco? Is it Canada after Monaco?
Yep, Canada.
And I can't remember that.
I'd love to remember. Like I say, I'm surprised that we even managed to get through those races with remembering what had happened. But Canada, I mean, I can't even remember too much about it. It was nothing spectacular, but I know it was kind of at a point where we were kind of desperate to start getting points on the board and start actually making some inroads on the lead, because I know the leaders made a big break, especially after the result of Bahrain. We had kind of wanted more success, was kind of hoping we might get a win at some stage as well. I think Canada was relatively quiet, really, if I'm honest, and then Valencia was after that, and I don't think that could have gone any better.
Actually, this was one of my most favourite moments, and I'll ask you if your favourite moment, and this isn't my actual favourite moment, but one of the good moments of this season was at Valencia, because we went into the season with the safety car turned off.
Oh God!
And suddenly during the Valencia race, the safety car came out. I can't even remember. I don't think it was an incident that we were privy to. I think the AI just went mad somewhere, nowhere near us, and one of them crashed and brought us a safety car. And I can remember your reaction, and it was safety car, panic, 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 and it was that was mildly funny. In fact, memories keep coming back to me now that I sort of mentioned things. It was I was pretty sure we were up there in Valencia, because I think I was behind Kobayashi, looking to get on or near the podium. Once the safety car came out, because it was towards the end of the race, and you were egging me on, trying to get me to pass him. I just didn't have the pace, and I just didn't do it.
Well, lucky someone managed. Lucky someone turned the safety car on, then, didn't they?
Yeah, quite. And then we come to Silverstone after that, and the less said about that, the better. Particularly as my bottle in this race came in the form of not pressing the record button on my capture card. So we'll probably want to move past that quite quickly. Although I will say I did actually have a proper bottle in that race, but it wasn't my fault. I don't think it was one of those. In fact, I got a penalty, I think, for hitting button, which I remember because you hit button before that but didn't get a penalty. and I
Yeah,
hit
I remember.
and got a penalty, but I thought he turned it on me, but no one would see that because my video didn't exist. And the other thing
We'll
is
believe it
that
though. It wasn't a penalty. We'll just leave it at that.
yeah, that's fine. And the other thing was I was actually in really good shape. I think I remember, and I was going through Maggots and Beckett's, and I just went over a curb the wrong way, and it just flew me into midair and it sent me flying towards the barrier. Thankfully, there was enough runoff that I didn't go into the barrier, and I could bring it back on track, and I didn't have any damage. But it lost me a lot of time being flung into the air by some random curb, which is you know, typical co-masters. I think you'd agree. But then after Silverstone, I think did you win Silverstone? No, you didn't, did you? You came
No,
second to
second.
Hamilton,
Mhm.
and Webber was third. Because I remember you saying it was the all British podium because we've adopted Webber as one of our own. If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so at this point, podiums were starting to roll in for you quite regularly, weren't they? But not quite the race win until round 10 at Hockenheim. And Kerry, I'll let you take the story.
Hockenheim. Well, all I remember is the result. If I'm honest, I can't really remember too much about what happened. But I think it was pit strategy again. Like I say, pit strategy played a big role. I remember staying at. Can't remember how much longer now. Not a great story this, but I remember I pitted and came out in the lead. So I know Alonso came out he was just behind me as I came out, but.
You weren't in the league as well. What I think happened was I think we each had a very good start and we were making our way through the field really rapidly. And we
Until
got.
you hit me at turn 1, actually. I remember that now. It's coming back.
I hit you with turn 1. I'm not sure about that, but okay. Yeah, so we both got really good starts and we were going out the field quite quickly. And I think I was ahead of you. But you pitted a few laps before me, and I remember you coming out. And saying, "Oh, it's Alonso!" And Alonso was leading before the pit stops. So I remember that we definitely jumped most of them in the pit stops, and then I think I came out behind you and Alonso because I definitely had to pass Alonso down into the hairpin. And what's disappointing about that actually is I couldn't release the emotion that I felt because I was getting at this point I was getting a lot of stick from Kerry for not carrying the can, for not helping the team out, for not recording races, for having a temperamental capture card. And all
Yeah,
that
it was mainly the capture card.
I was getting a lot of banter and a lot of stick, and that was that was the race where it finally came together for me, I should say. And not only was I on the podium, but I made it a 1-2. Because Kerry did his bit, which, as you'll see, you probably know, for the rest of the season he carried on doing, and I didn't. But when I did my bit, I secured Lotus the first 1-2 of the season, or I helped secure Lotus the first 1-2 of the season.
Would you say that was your peak that season? That was your peak performance?
It was my best result. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the point I was going to make was it was very late at night when we were recording that, and I haven't got a particularly big house, so and I'm near to my bedroom is near to my parents' bedroom, so that they can hear me talking at normal volume. I can holler and shout and scream like I wanted to at the result. And in fact, my brother was even trying to sleep actually, because I share a room with my brother when he's back from uni, and he was trying to sleep. So I had to be dreadfully quiet, and I couldn't release the emotion that I wanted to, which is a great shame. But that was that was definitely my best achievement of the season, without a doubt. And to be fair, I think collectively it was ours. But best achievement of the season.
Yeah, 43 points. 43 points. That's all I'll say about that. It took a big chunk out of the constructors actually, but. Anyway, I'm going to wrap that one up because we've got a few more to get through and we're running.
We are
thin on time already.
Yeah, we are. So Budapest was very memorable for you, Kerry, wasn't it? But particularly the last couple of laps.
Yeah, now I remember. Yep, I remember that one. That was a good one. Yeah. What was it? Fourth. I came out the pits and I had Hamilton, Vettel, and Webber all fighting quite close. I came out fourth with, I think it was only a couple of laps remaining, maybe 2 or 3, and I remember having to dispatch Hamilton. I'd done Hamilton quite quickly actually, and it went on to the last lap, and I just thought, oh well, I'm going to get third here. I need to be ahead of these guys though. My Kers had been failed as well. I remember that. Or was it my DRS? No, it was my DRS. Sorry, my DRS has failed, so I wasn't able to really get a run on Vettel. So I braked really late into turn 1, thinking something might happen, and he got a slight bit of oversteer, I think, on the exit, and I managed to just stick it up the inside going into turn 2. And I thought, okay, seconds, okay. And then I looked at the track map, and there was traffic coming up, and I thought, okay, might have a chance, because you know what they're like. They're quite good at just backing the field up into each other. So yeah, that's kind of what I banked on really. Try to keep with Webber through the second sector when they're on rails through that bit. There's only one proper line, and they're perfect all the way through it all the time. So trying to keep up with Webber. And then on the fast right-hander at the end of the second sector, Karthikeyan stepped up to the plate, and I remember he held Webber up just as I anticipated, and I had to dive out of Webber's way, and then I had to dive out of Karthikeyan's way because he started going off the racing line to let Webber through, and ended up nearly wiping me out. And it kind of turned out to be a nice move, me passing Webber on the inside with Karthikeyan in the middle. So it was kind of like a Schumacher-Hakkinen moment in Spa. And that was probably my best moment of the season, definitely. And I took the win with 3 corners to go.
And so that was two wins back to back. So your championship challenge was heating up. I remember saying, I think it was a little bit before, definitely before you started winning. But I definitely remember saying, I don't think you've got a chance in the championship. I think you're too far behind. I think you've got too much to do. But Kerry was very quickly proving me wrong with those victories, and he was bringing himself back into play. I want to bring the championship into the narrative a little bit more now, because as we're getting closer to the end of the season in this review, because Hamilton was leading, wasn't he? So he was the target.
He was the man. He had a huge lead. I know it was kind of moving back and forth between a few drivers. Alonso started off quite strong in the season, but Hamilton then kind of came into his own and started reeling off big points every race, and he had kind of a huge gap, which I had to kind of claw back. I think I can't remember how far off it was, but it was, at least over 2 race wins at most of the way through the season. So all I had to do was just keep winning, because Hamilton just seemed to be starting on the front row every time, and so it was the championship was, well, it was tricky, but still thought it was doable because we were still taking race victories. So
then we moved on to Spa, which was our second race this season, wasn't it? I think, did you come second to Hamilton? I think Hamilton was a good way clear, wasn't it?
Third I came. The last, actually I spent the majority of that race just shouting at the engine not changing. I remember that. And then as soon as I hit it up to Rich, I was absolutely eating into, I think it was Button who was in second. Buttons.
Yeah, that's right.
Button's lead, but I just could not get. Well, I'd run out of laps by the time. Well, I'd run out of laps. Hamilton was way clear of Button anyway, so even if we got past Button, then still it would have been a long way to get him. So.
So that was lost points on Hamilton. So he actually grew his lead on that race. Monza we've already briefly spoken about, but I can't remember exactly how you got on there.
Well, I finished ahead of you, so.
Well, yes. See, you finished in front of me in every race, Kerry. So that's a given.
Oh, don't spoil it for everyone.
We didn't mention that, do we? Jesus. Okay, so you finished somewhere in Monza. That's great. Singapore was a bit of a turning point, because I think it made you believe again, because in the very early throes of that race, you came across a backwards facing Lewis Hamilton, didn't you?
Yeah, I was kind of, when you said a turning point, I was kind of thinking that's when I kind of discovered my inner Hamilton, and I remember vividly wiping Alonso out
Yeah.
with just over a lap to go. Yeah, all I was hoping for at the start of every race from that point really was, where's Hamilton starting? Because if he's in the middle, he's going to hopefully be hitting trouble. But most of the time, he'd be getting good starts, and then he's pit. He'd stay an extra lap out during the pit phase, and he'd end up jumping more cars and end up getting on the podium. So, kind of hoping that if he was in the midfield, he would get something go wrong. And he did that race actually. I remember taking avoiding actions slightly because all I saw was just a silver car, and well, it's not silver at Singapore, it's black, black and red pretty much. The lighting is not great there, and I just remember going, Hamilton spun, just put your foot down and try and win the race. And I would have cleanly passed Alonso. I wasn't even going for an overtaking move when I put him in the wall. It's just, yeah.
Well, put him in the wall you did because you are a filthy, filthy man. So that was Singapore, and I think that brought the gap down. I mean, the gap was still 75 points, was it?
Oh,
or was it 50?
No.
I think it was 75 points at Singapore, wasn't it?
Something like that. It was still a sizable gap. But we had numerous races still to go. We went to
the next one was Suzuka, and that was pretty terrible for both of us because you for once you'd actually got a better start than me. Usually in most races I got off to a better start and I fed my way through the traffic in the first couple of laps a bit better, and then you would just overtake me in the pit stop phases, or I would bottle it, or one of the above. But in Suzuka, you actually got a better start than me, and I remember, I think it was lap 2 or 3, I just heard you say, oh, I'm in the wall, and I came round the exit at turn 2, and yeah, I just saw you just sitting there in the wall without a front wing, and that was race over, and I'm sitting there thinking, guys, I can put a 1 I can put a digit in this column that says I beat Kerry. But as we already mentioned, I ended up in the wall, terminally damaged, rather than just with a broken front wing. So the quicker we move on from that, the better. But I think you left with no points, didn't you?
As good as, I think.
No, I'm pretty sure you were well done I feel, because
I had to do the whole lap without a front wing, so I was fighting the Caterhams and HRTs and all that. Wow, that was bad. Yeah.
So and let me move on to Korea, and now my memory is failing me, so you have to help me out here with Korea.
Korea. Nope.
No, don't know. Okay, so India. India, you won, didn't you? Is that right?
No, I think.
Oh no! This is where the snowball happened, wasn't it?
I got a penalty as a result of Hamilton spinning.
This is your end of season snowball. So basically, in each of the last race, well, apart from Brazil, each of the last from Suzuka onwards until Brazil, Kerry got himself into early problems in each of the races. So
it went wrong.
So Suzuka was the early crash. In fact, Korea, well, we can't remember. So yeah, let's just say you binned it. Why not? In fact, Korea, the only thing I remember from Korea is being shoved down the second straight sideways by a Force India. That was quite funny. So India, you got a penalty early on, didn't you? For I think it was Molinado you kind of made contact with, but it was as a result of the incident that Hamilton was being caught up in, wasn't it?
Yep.
More than anything else. But you recovered to a podium, is that right?
Where's this, India? Yeah, it was. We did recover. I know I went for the drive-through, and then I tried to stay out as long as I could, and then kind of just see where I ended up, and I think it was third or something like that.
But yeah, I mean, if I was right at Singapore, it was a 75-point gap, and I'm pretty sure it was. Then you must have won Korea, or at least been in the top 3, because with those 2 results, you were suddenly well back into play. And I think I was saying over the last 4 races, I think I said you needed to outscore Hamilton by 12 points a race, I think it was.
Yep.
Or 10 points a race. So yeah, so I think you must have won Korea to get yourself back into range. Abu Dhabi. What was your early incident in Abu Dhabi? Can you remember?
Yeah, well, I remember that. I think it was Vern spun on turn. Well, it was on the exit at turn 3, and usually the AI ghost. And this time, well, Vern didn't, which I guess is fair. But I had nowhere to go, so I lost my front wing. Spent the first lap still fighting cars with my my lack of front wing, and then I tried to just eke it out on the prime tyres. I do remember actually on my first few laps on the prime tyre, I was going faster than you, and you were just hating, just wanting to die.
Yeah. I remember that as well. Yeah. Another thing I remember from Abu Dhabi is I was having a solid race. I was well up there, having a very solid race, and bottle number 1 came in the form of my in lap. I got a bit of oversteered, the 2 corners before going under the hotel bridge, and I lost a bit of my front wing, I think, as opposed to all of it, after hitting the barrier. That was my in lap, so it didn't lose me a whole lot of time. But what it did mean is the extra couple of seconds on the stop put me at the back of a 4 or 5 car train, which I think, had it not been for the touch with the barriers, I might have been in front of, or at the very least, it only got 1 or 2 cars to pass rather than 4 or 5.
I remember my brain fart.
and from there it got very messy. I remember Weber lag bubble turned into you on the second to last corner, and then I thought I had just got past the incident. With the way that Webber's car was spinning, and in truth, I actually did. But again, Webber's lag bubble struck and sort of hit me, which kind of... Sorry, no, that's wrong.
Hit me into you.
Yeah, hit you. He hit you. And so I thought you had passed the incident. And on my screen you were, but I think on your screen you weren't, because you did. I remember you saying you did get a hit from Weber on your screen.
Yeah.
And so because I thought I was past it, but I actually wasn't, I ended up hitting into you and throwing you into the wall. And I got a penalty, and then I got another penalty, I think, after that. In fact, I might have had 3 penalties actually, if I remember correctly.
I just remember how bad that was. Like I said, at the end of the season was just a really turbulent period with just the driving standards. As the situation in the championship just got more and more impossible, the driving just seemed to have got more desperate and dangerous. It was quite bad.
But yet, amazingly, through this all, you were still making points on Hamilton on a regular basis, and USA was a similar thing. I think you got a penalty on in a first lap incident, I think.
Yeah.
But again, and I remember you saying, "Oh, that's it, championship over," and I said, "No, you've had this in the last 3 races. You can still do it. You can still get some big points," and you did, and you came back and you did get some big points. And I think heading into Brazil, the gap was 12 points, I think it was, or 15 points.
I think it was. I think it was 15 actually, if I'm honest. I remember Austin. Just a stupid move on Senna gave me the penalty. I remember you getting disqualified though. You didn't mention that. But yeah, I think it was.
That's because I honestly forgot about it. But in fact, let's return to that later on, because we've got a question in the Q&A which I think I can slot this into there. So we'll leave it for now. But carry on.
Where were we? No, okay.
We were heading into Brazil. Yeah, we're heading into Brazil. So we think the gap was 12, 15 points.
I think it was between 12 or 15. Honestly, we should have done some research. This isn't gone well.
Should. But I mean, it might add to comedy value. You never know. But yeah, I think we went into the race there thinking that if we had a clean one, because you were still making points up on Hamilton despite the issues you were having. I think we're going into it feeling that you had a pretty good chance if we managed to keep our noses clean. As it happened, we did do that, and this was my second best race of the season by a long way, because I followed. Did I finish on the podium again as well? I can't remember.
Yeah,
now.
We finished the season.
I think because you finished second, I finished third. And second might have been good enough if Hamilton ran into trouble, but unfortunately he qualified on pole, and
Just walked it.
we couldn't close him up, could we, in the end? So Hamilton ended up winning the championship, but you came a very, very credible, if I may say so myself, second.
Yeah.
And my third place finished me in like 9th or 10th or something. I can't remember now. My championship battle was mainly with the Saubers, and at the very end of the season, suddenly I was battling Felipe Massa as well.
The championship fight that everyone was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so my third place ended up beating them to that, and there we go. And that was all she wrote. So Kerry's valiant effort at a championship challenge. It was. If you were 75 points behind in Singapore, it's incredible. You ended up bringing it to the last race anyway, particularly with all the issues you were having.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you could sum up the season after the last 35 minutes of chatting about it in great detail.
Well, we need to keep up the pace. The reason we lost was simply just down to just the mistakes, really, and that was it, really. The beginning and the end was bad. We just need to hook up a campaign, a consistent one across the entire season in future. Especially you, but especially me as well. It's easy for me to just say, yeah, I'll beat you 20 times, but there were errors as well on my part, definitely. There were some catastrophic ones on both sides of the garage, and that's probably cost us a big chunk of points. So potential first in the drivers, and I think if both of us were top of our game at the majority of races, we would have probably been fighting for a stronger finish in the constructors. But that's
we finished third in the end in the constructors behind McLaren and Red Bull, I think.
Yeah,
which at the start of the season I would have taken. I would have been quite pleased with third in the constructors, particularly after we finished 10th and 11th in Australia. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the constructors finish. But yeah, you're right. If I was at the top of my game, and this is what I said at the end of the Brazil video. The Brazil video demonstrated that pace-wise I could keep up with Carey, but all of my bottles that just kept on coming prevented me from finishing, one or two places behind Carey. And since Carey was winning races and getting on the podium, then I should have been taking a good number of points home in every race, and that would have bumped us well up in a championship for the constructors.
Yep.
Not least because I would have been scoring points, but I probably would have been taking some off the Red Bull and the McLarens when they had their bad races as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So there you go. So overall, though, I think we both thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think we hope to take that forward into F1 2013.